card's going to be a Father's Day card. It's for my dad, who is of course the best dad in the world, and so that's what the sentiment's going to say. I've started with a standard size card. This is the design I'm hoping to achieve. The standard size card's in green because I always tend to go for craft cardstock, and I thought I'd try something a little different, and green's my dad's favourite colour. So I've already trimmed these near enough to size but not quite, so I'm still going to have to trim the edges, but they're vaguely what I want them to be. And I'm just popping this pattern paper at the bottom of the cardstock. I'm just lining it up here just to make sure that the tape runner I'm using is going to be actually adhered to the card and not hanging off the edge. So I'm just using the grid lines on my cutting mat just to make sure this is all, you know, going to be in line and square. And then just trimming off that edge that I knew would be slightly hanging over there. Okay, then I'm just running a line of tape runner down the middle here, because I'm going to attach that small piece of grey-green cardstock to it. And it was just easier just to attach the adhesive there, but you can attach it to the cardstock and then place it on your work. It doesn't matter which way you do it. And I'm just going to use a little bit of this black rick-rack ribbon. It's quite small rick-rack. Usually they're much bigger kind of peaks and troughs, but I quite like this. It's really petite rick-rack ribbon. And because it's so small, I'm having to adhere it with just some PVA glue, but the thicker stuff you could just use your tape runner for. This didn't stick down particularly well initially. I mean, it's once it was dry, it's not going anywhere, but it kept trying to move as I was cutting it, so I just made sure it was all level, and then just set it to one side to dry while I completed the rest of the card. Now for this next bit, I'm using this garden trellis border punch by Martha Stewart. And it doesn't matter what colour paper I start with, I just wanted to make sure it's thin enough to punch with. And you just use it like any other border punch, except you have, you know, a bigger border and I guess there's more to line up. But it's just as easy to use as any of the Fiskars or Stampin' Up punches, and it gets a great effect. This one's quite a girly punch, so I wanted to change it somewhat for the design for this card. And I'm just going to take off that scalloped edge on one side and then cut along the other end of it as well, just to give sort of like a lattice border without all the scalloped edging. And I'm just covering this in Versamark ink, and again, it doesn't have to be Versamark ink, it could have just been black pigment ink, but I just didn't want to get my fingers dirty. So, and then I'm covering it with black embossing powder. I'm not too worried that I didn't get perfect coverage on this first go round, because I'm actually going to do another coat of this black embossing powder. And here I'm just using my heat tool to heat set it, and then going at it again with the Versamark ink, and then again covering it in the black embossing powder, and then heat setting it, and you get this really cool glossy kind of trellis lattice look, whatever. Here I've just got a square of the same grey-green cardstock that I used on the bottom border, and I'm just corner rounding those edges. I wasn't sure if I liked it at this point, and a bit later on in the video I did actually make it a bit smaller, but I went with it for now. And I want to stick this this bit of lattice embossed black card down. And you can't do that with, you know, your normal glue runner because it'd show through the hole, so I've literally just used the PVA glue again. You could have used the special glue runner that only sticks to the card that's there, but I'd run out, so I had to use PVA glue, which works just fine, just as well. So the card's really coming together now. Now it's just a matter of putting the sentiments on and tying it all together. And here I'm actually cleaning my Tim Holtz scissors. They're non-stick scissors, and you can see I've got so much adhesive on these scissors, and this is how easily they kind of cleaned up, and I'm just using a little baby wipe there and they're as good as new again. They're really great investment. I love those scissors. So for the sentiment, I'm going to use these foam stickers, which I've obviously got quite a liking for at the moment. They're by Paper Mania, and I think they're called their Alpha Mania foam stickers, but they'll be on the credits at the end. So I wasn't sure whether to do them in capitals or lowercase, but I went for lowercase in the end. I think that looks kind of cute, so that's fine. And I just spaced them out, and it was at this point I realised that this grey-green square was just too big for the sentiment that I wanted to put on there, so I did trim it down. I'm just pondering that thought right now, and I just thought it was way too big. So I've trimmed it down. It's just a little bit smaller, exactly the same shape, just a bit smaller. And here I'm just using these Doodlebug stickers, Doodlebug rub-ons, and they're the medium-sized, all mixed up in white. And I'm just cutting out the letters that I want, just so they're all there ready. And I'm just using my embossing tool just to rub these off. I normally use my bone folder, but it was just, these are way too fiddly and tiny to use that on, so I just use my embossing tool instead. And a tip that somebody gave me following one of my last videos was to just use the bit of the wax paper that comes on the back of these stickers, just to make sure they're all adhered down to the card properly. And it's a great tip, it really does work. So thank you for that. As you can see. And I'm going back to my base card, which is all dry now. I'm just corner rounding those top two corners. And then I decided to add just some doodling around this edge. It's kind of like Morse code doodling. It's a long dash, then two small dashes, then another long dash. Just for something different other than a faux stitching. And I'm adhering this to the card with 3D foam stickers, just to lift it a little bit from the base card. And I'm putting that down centrally, just lifting the card here so I can make sure that's all lined up. And you didn't see me do it here, but I have just finished doodling out the sentiment in pencil, and I'm just going over it in this white gel pen. And I'm doing this sentiment to mimic the Doodlebug stickers, but just hand drawing them. But I thought it gave quite a good effect anyway, so I just thought I'd try something different. And then I just wasn't happy with it, so corner around at a couple more corners, stared at it for a bit longer, still wasn't quite happy with it, so just had to add the faux stitching around the edge on the top, on the green part of the cardstock. Card isn't complete without some faux stitching, it appears these days. And that's the card for today. I hope my dad likes it, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time for another card tutorial. Bye!